Knowing how many calories to eat to lose weight can be highly frustrating. One app will give you one set of calories and another online calculator will give you another set. Then when you do follow these suggestions, you don't even lose any weight. I get it, and I'm here to help. Stick around and I'll show you how to know exactly how much you should eat and how to alter calories if you aren't seeing weight loss. Hey, this is Colin DeWaay. If you want to master your metabolism and create forever results, start now by subscribing and click on that bell notification so you don't miss any updates. So one of the most common things people use to try to figure out how many calories they should eat is use some sort of online calculator, whether that be a TDEE calculator or a macro calculator or any other activity calculator or anything else there is. These calculators will spit out some numbers you can follow. The problem is they can be highly inaccurate, and this is because it can't really take into account your own personal genetics, your dieting history, and things like this. So you can take two people with the exact same stats, same height, same weight, same gender, same body weight, same everything, but one person may have a significantly faster metabolism than the other. You could even take it to more of an extreme and actually go to a metabolic chamber and breathe into this machine that will give you how many calories you burn throughout the course of a day based on that, and that's going to be much more accurate. However, in my opinion, not only is this overkill, but still, no matter what, it's about following through, being consistent, and then adjusting based on the results you get, which I'll touch on more in a little bit. To me, a much simpler and more cost-efficient way to do this would be to just keep things the same. Take the next week, whatever you've been doing, continue to eat in the same way, because we typically tend to eat the same types of foods in the same type of way a lot of the time. Obviously, it's not going to be exactly the same, but if you take a normal week and just get roughly an average for that week, that's going to give you a pretty good idea of what things look like. Not only by doing this will you be able to take those 7 days and then take an average and consider that your rough maintenance calories, assuming you're maintaining your weight, but it also helps start teaching you more about foods, what's in the food you eat, the macronutrient breakdown of those foods, what a portion size looks like, all these things that are going to be super valuable to aid you in your journey, not only through the fat loss phase, but for the rest of your life. Now, once you've done this week, if you can be more patient, which I strongly recommend, you don't have to, but I think this next step can be valuable, again, for helping teach you more about the process, but also making sure you're nailing down those maintenance calories, and that's take the following week, use the average calories you consumed before, but now you're going to set some macro targets to try to hit, and this will give you some practice while the calories are a bit higher to focus on getting macros dialed in and learning more about food and nutrition and the process as a whole. And don't worry, I'm going to help you set up your macros based on however many calories you're consuming. So if you don't know, macros is your macronutrients, which is your protein, carbs, and fats. This is how you get your calories. 1 gram of protein has 4 calories, 1 gram of carbs has 4 calories, and 1 gram of fat has 9 calories. So once you have this average calorie for the week, and now you're setting up that for the next week, what you want to do is set your protein target for around 1 gram per pound of body weight, or if you have a larger amount of weight to lose, you can just use roughly a goal weight just to get started. But you want to make sure you're eating plenty of protein, as not only does it help you feel full, it has a high thermic effect of food, meaning it just burns a lot of calories processing the food you eat. So this is why not all calories are created equal, because the thermic effect of food can vary between different sources of food, and protein has by far the highest thermic effect. And it's also what helps build and maintain lean body mass, which is important not only for body composition, but also your metabolism. Now, once you have your protein target set, you're going to now set your fat target, and you're going to go between 20 and 30% of your total calories from fat. Aim for the higher side of the range if you prefer fat over carbs, or the lower side if you prefer carbs over fat. But I rarely recommend going below 20% of your calories from fat, because it's important to make sure you have enough for things like hormones, digestion, and nutrient uptake. Now that you have your protein and your fat set, you know that the rest of your calories are going to carbs. Okay, now that you've done this for a week, you've practiced tracking macros, you've got a rough idea of what your maintenance calories are because of this, now you can go ahead and drop your calories to put you in a calorie deficit and start losing weight. And the amount of calories you want for this is to take those calories and reduce by about 20%. So usually I'll say between maybe 15 to 25%, maybe up to 30% in more extreme scenarios. But you have to understand, the faster you lose weight, the more your metabolism will slow down faster, the more your body body adapts, the more difficult it'll get, the more likely it is for you to lose lean body mass, which works against you in many ways. So you don't want to lose weight too fast. I know that seems backwards, but this is a big reason why a lot of people get stuck and get frustrated because they get too aggressive too soon. And while they may lose weight faster in the beginning stages, first of all, a lot of that is just water weight. And then second of all, once their metabolism does adapt, they have no room to make adjustments to keep the process working. So you want to lose no more than about 1%, maybe 1.5% to 2% if you're obese, of your total weight on average per week. You also have to factor in, you can add in activity as well to help create this calorie deficit. So if you would prefer to do more activity to be able to eat more food, or if you prefer to do less activity and eat less food, it's kind of up to you. So if you want to do more activity, you might err towards the 15 to 20%. If you like to do less activity, then you need a bigger reduction from calories to make sure you're creating that deficit. But typically, I find around 20 to 25%. That's a good place for most people. And while it may seem like a lot, you have to keep in mind, you don't make this big of an adjustment every time you stall out, but you do need to make one in the beginning portion of your cut to make sure you're eliciting a response and getting things working. What you don't want to do is make a mistake that a lot of people make, and that is, I call it reverse dieting in reverse. So if you think about what reverse dieting is, if you know what it is, if you've been following my videos, it's where you gradually increase your calories, and this allows your metabolism to adapt while minimizing changes in body fat as you get your metabolism to speed up. Well, if you do that the other way and slowly reduce your calories, now your metabolism is going to slowly slow down and adapt to that while minimizing changes in body fat. Minimal changes in body fat is great in a reverse diet, not such a great thing when you're trying to lose body fat. So by making the bigger adjustment up front, now you can get things moving, and then as you stall out down the road, you can make smaller changes to keep the process working. And in those scenarios, once you've plateaued, I do usually recommend taking a diet break where you bring up your calories a bit. I have other videos you can watch. I'll probably put one in the description below that talks about how to go through this process. And this helps keep your hormones and metabolism in a bit better spot and set you up for the next leg of your fat loss phase. But then you make a reduction of usually around 5 to 10% of the calories you've been consuming prior to the diet break, and maybe increasing your cardio a little bit to help make that next push. Like I said before, no matter what, the biggest thing is being consistent, monitoring, and adjusting accordingly. We're never gonna know for sure. You might take these numbers and you might not be able to lose it first. Everyone seems to have sort of like a threshold of calories they need to get to before their body will start releasing body fat. And sometimes you just don't quite get there at first. Some people have to be more aggressive in the beginning. Some people can be less aggressive. Knowing how your body typically responds is helpful, but you don't wanna get frustrated and give up if things aren't working. And just know maybe you haven't found that yet. And then of course, also make sure that you're adhering well. It doesn't matter if you are doing really well for 5 or 6 days a week, but then completely blow it out on a 7th day and undo all that hard work you've done. So make sure you're staying on plan. And then when your body plateaus, this is to be expected. It's part of the process. It's normal. So don't feel like something's wrong, but then it's time to adjust. Now, you may have noticed I haven't talked about what types of foods to eat, and that's because, you know what? It doesn't really matter. There's no such thing as magic foods. Don't get me wrong. You want a diet that's mostly nutrient-dense, whole foods, minimally processed foods, foods that you know are clean, so to speak, but you also don't have to completely avoid all junk food either, and that's one of the beautiful things about tracking macros, or at least calories and protein, as it allows you to include some things you would like that a lot of diets would say you can't have, and make it more sustainable. Because no matter what you do, if your diet isn't sustainable, you're not going to be able to sustain your results. So I don't really care what diet you do. If you like keto, or if you like paleo, or any other diet out there, that's fine. It's still in your best interest to know what your macros are, again, because your body will adapt and you need to adjust. There's no such thing as a certain style of diet where your metabolism never slows down and you just keep losing weight forever. I mean, if that happened, you would just starve yourself to death, right? So pick a style of diet that you like, but I still strongly recommend you know how many calories you're eating, because otherwise, if you don't, what are you going to do when your body does plateau? You won't know what kind of adjustments to make. Now, there is one thing that we need to consider here, and you may be in a position where your metabolism is running slower than usual just because you have a longer history of dieting, right? The more you diet, the more aggressively you diet, the longer you do it, the more your body's going to adapt. And if you're in a position where your maintenance calories are super low and making these big adjustments to start your diet, doesn't seem realistic or would put you on way too low of calories, then you're probably gonna have to hold off on going into a fat loss phase, and now you're gonna wanna start that reverse diet and gradually increase your calories to get your metabolism back into a better place so you can see the results you want without gaining more weight than is necessary during the process. However, you may be wondering how many calories is too low. Well, as luck would have it, you can check out this top video next, and I'll talk about everything you need to know about how many calories is too low for you. Otherwise, I think you'll like this bottom video instead. If you have any questions, leave them in the comments below, and I'll see you in one of those other videos.